The LGBTQ plus website Pink News, which reports few gay issues and even fewer lesbian ones, existing primarily to pump out the trans propaganda, has to date written more than 75 hit pieces on me, all of them designed to paint my perfectly commonplace beliefs as evidence of bigotry and madness. But they're not commonplace. The stats don't back you up on this one. Even in places where transphobia reigns, like Turf Island, most people are not that obsessed, you know? Not that just like, this consumes me. This is my everything. Graham Linehan could, at this point in his career, be known as Irish royalty. Of course, he is the author of a lot of very, very prominent and successful British sitcoms. Father Ted, The It Crowd, the less successful It Crowd spin-off, but I don't think he directly wrote for that one. But either way, had a history in television and was a beloved comedy writer. Everyone used to like Graham Linehan, and Graham Linehan lost everything. He has come forward now to say that he has lost everything due to a radical trans agenda, including his wife, his career, his agents, and any ability to monetize what's left of his legacy. And obviously, he's real mad about that, and now he's using it as an opportunity to once again go after trans people. Now, the reason I find Graham Linehan so fucking funny is because this is an example of, once again, the absolute brain rot that comes from being obsessed with trans people and everyone in your life being disgusted by that, right? Because, you know, I imagine if you were in a relationship with someone and they're like, trying to tell me that fucking women have cocks, I won't believe it. You'd be like, can you just let this one go? Like, seriously, what does it have to do with you? Like, honestly, you're not trans, you're not in a relationship with a trans person, you don't have trans children, you don't even have trans friends. I don't get why this suddenly has to become a cause. It's like, oh, they took everything from me, everything. The trans people did, the people whose genitals I'm obsessed with 24/7 and I won't shut the fuck up about, they took them from me. It's like, no, dude, you did it to yourself. You really did. I understand why all this is kind of like yikesy and everything. But anyway, so he's not satisfied just going after trans people. Now he's going after the Harry Potter kids, because apparently the Harry Potter kids are all traitors. The world should remember Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint as arrogant, ungrateful cowards for turning on JK Rowling. So this was written by Graham Linehan for the Daily Mail. Absolute trash rag, I'm come to understand. Copyright clear, sad music. Let's get that violin going. Melancholy. Yeah, we can play it. Oh, this is very sad. Why do I risk everything to battle the madness of the trans activists? What's my endgame? It's simple. I am concerned about women losing their words, safe spaces, and sports to fanatics who denounce the very idea of womanhood. I want to reveal the havoc gender identity has wrought on society, expose those who enable it, and help bring about its end. I flew into the battle of beans. The belief of the other side was so insane, I thought my friends would quickly realize how crazy it all was and start lending me a hand. I believed it was only a matter of time before they would fly to my aid. The satirists, the stars, the progressives, the feminists, those I'd made famous with the TV sitcoms I wrote. Okay. You owe me everything. Everything. You progressives. I thought they'd be along any minute, but to my astonishment, no one turned up. I begged friends, maybe it's a sign, you know? It's a sign. Probably a sign. I think if you were just espousing like racist bile all the time and then you find out that you lose everyone in the process, maybe it's a you thing. You know? Maybe that's it. If you were just spouting off all this fucking garbage and everyone's like, yeah, I'm sorry, dude, I don't want anything to do with you. You suck. This shit is not, no, it's not it. You're wrong. Maybe just read a book, you know? Read a book. I beg friends to say something about how children shouldn't be undergoing experimental treatments with no evidence base. Lies, wrong, false. No, the medical community is kind of already, you're just behind the times, my friend. This is like if someone was straight up talking about measuring skulls. It's like, why don't they measure skulls anymore? Do you not understand the difference in skull shapes? The pure Aryan skulls are bigger, larger craniums. Why would you do anything about this? My crime against humanity was telling gay and autistic young women that if they removed their breasts, they would be happy, but most stayed silent. See, this is why. This is why no one wants to be your friend or hang out with you or be around you anymore. You're just a horrifying human being. Who wants to hang out with a bigot all the time? You know, I know we live in this woke society, cancel culture, be what it may. You can't even speak in public without everyone being like, ooh, yeah, we don't say that anymore. Ooh, no, you can't do that anymore. But like, honestly, it's just unpleasant. No one wants to be around someone talking like this. You fucking old ass bigot. Instead, I was canceled. Friends were ghosting me and blanking me, not returning calls, giving my wife grief on the phone, writing nasty letters about the importance of kindness, and perhaps worst of all, sympathetically nodding while telling me why they couldn't get involved. From the start, I was subjected to waves of activists on Twitter. First came anonymous violent threats. Then, hot on their tail, was the trans ally celebrities who didn't understand the issue beyond the opportunity it gave them to broadcast their virtue and harass me. See, you've been virtue signaling. That's what this is. Graham Linehan has been virtue signaling non-stop, and it just didn't work out because he's been virtue signaling bigotry. Hasn't been able to just follow any of the science, hasn't been able to just realize that, oh shit, I was decidedly wrong about this, and then double, triple down, quadruple down. So now the only people who want anything to do with you are right-wingers who also feel just as bad. One of the casts of the teen comedy series Dairy Girls, a product of Hat Trick, the same company as Father Ted, started campaigning for my removal from Twitter. Pretty soon the public perceived me as toxic, and they tuned me out. I was targeted by media eager to find some dirt on me, gender-goofy newspapers such as The Guardian, The Independent, interviewing colleagues of mine to get them to condemn me, which many were delighted to do. The LGBTQ+ website Pink News, which reports few gay issues and even fewer lesbian ones, existing primarily to pump out the trans propaganda, has to date written more than 75 hit pieces on me, all of them designed to paint my perfectly commonplace beliefs as evidence of bigotry and madness. But they're not commonplace. The stats don't back you up on this one. Even in places where transphobia reigns, like Turf Island, most people are not that fucking obsessed. You know? Not that just like, this consumes me. This is my everything. The ideological capture of the media is such that if a celebrity comes out as trans or non-binary, they fall over themselves to use his or her new pronouns. When it involves the use... Did you just use pronouns? I hope they're not proper pronouns. Oh, Graham. When it involves the use of they for a single individual, it tends to make an article unreadable. Why? Why? Have you ever mentioned someone on the phone before? Hey, who called? Oh, they did. They were talking about something. I don't know. They wanted to know if you were coming for dinner. Oh, okay, cool. You mean one person? Yes. Why would you say they? Isn't they more than one? The more captured than most independent ran a story headlined "Armed and Dangerous" about a woman sought for allegedly killing her boyfriend and brother. You had to do some puzzling digging before you realized that the woman was a man and the boyfriend a woman. Though a gentle tweak by the unseen had... See, like, honestly, you're gross. You're gross and weird. That's why this is all happening. Now, this is where things got wild, okay? Not the Graham Linehan first part. He goes on to argue that the transgender movement produces no art. They produce no art. Not like me. I wrote Father Ted and the It Crowd, both of them. They've never made a single piece of art. There's no great trans film. There's no great trans creators of music. So, if y'all didn't know this, the composer of one of the most iconic horror film soundtracks of all time, The Shining, the one of which, if I invoke it, immediately you know what I'm talking about. Just, oh, fucking incredible. Yeah, that is a trans person. What about the, I would say, most influential action film of all time, The Matrix? Have you heard of The Matrix? Yes, the trans allegory, The Matrix. Yes, the entire Matrix films, yes, and sequels and trequels and spin-offs and animatrix and games and all that kind of stuff. Yes, made by two sisters, two trans women. There's that. Yeah. All the books that come out by trans authors are universally panned because of their incoherence. Just so you know, JK Rowling used a transphobic pseudonym, Robert Galbraith, to release some books, and she tried to do what Stephen King did. See, Stephen King is a very famous auteur, and Stephen King was so famous that he decided, I'm going to release some books under a different name to see if people are just buying my books because they're Stephen King books, or if they actually like my writing. Turns out they actually like his writing. He's a good author, and they bought his books under the other name, and those books were successful in their own right, and then it's just one of those things. JK Rowling tried to do the same thing, and no one bought them. Like, one of those books, I think, had a sales of like 68 copies in the UK, and so the studios were so desperate, like the publishers, sorry, that they were like, we have to reveal that this is actually secretly JK Rowling. And then boom, of course, the sales then went through the roof, but that's because she's actually just not that great an author, and they're kind of just drudge and garbage and garbage. So yeah, Yeah, there's that as well. It's just such a bizarre thing to want to go after, being like, oh, trans people don't make art. There's no such thing as trans art. It's never happened.
Liners, Graham Linehan letting it rip in the Telegraph next, Paul.
Harry Potter stars betrayed JK Rowling over trans row. Graham, friend of...
And I'd like...
So, here's the rub, everyone. If you work at a company and you got a jobby, and that job gave you some money, maybe a little start in your career, and then it turns out your boss or one of your associates to the boss or an owner or something like that turns out to be a massive bigot, you don't gotta hand it to them forever just because that's where you got your start. That's not how life works, you know? It doesn't matter what field you're in, what job you're in. If it's like, yeah, that person's a massive ass bigot, be like, yeah, it sucks, I used to work for a massive ass bigot. As, by the way, the Harry Potter kids were pretty based ass to do.
To be impartial about this story. They did!
Yes, they did. I genuinely, I've
Honestly, how dare they, fucking Potter.
I've never made more notes about a story
I can see.
than I have about this one.
You've also drawn a lot of willies.
Yeah, but that's my hieroglyphs.
And then chop them off.
I'm starting to wonder if the JK Rowling...
Oh, no one laughed at that one. GB News, was that too much? Was that one a little too far? Were you all like, oof?
Thing is one of the biggest Mandela effects we've ever seen. No matter how hard I look or ask, I cannot find anything where JK Rowling has actually been transphobic.
It's madness.
Because she gave all of them $1 million each to shut up.
Yeah, well, I just cannot find it.
No.
And the fact that...
I mean, it would be kind of odd if JK Rowling specifically picked a pseudonym that invokes someone who was involved in conversion therapy. That alone would kind of be a tell, you know? That, leaving everything else notwithstanding, that would be a one. By the way, at this point, there's a number of articles, not just, you know, I always, you know, support Katie Montgomery. She's got an amazing, you know, article that catalogs all of the transphobia of JK Rowling, but at this point there's actual you know, mainstream articles that are coming out in places like Fox, Atlantic, who have also you know, cataloged all of the transphobia of JK Rowling. The gender criticals, you know, the kind of like Anna Kasparian style, they want to, you know, do a centrist, like, oh, I support trans people, but at the same time I also want to dictate how they should live kind of idea. That whole section of the interwebs, well, yeah, they will often use the defense of, has JK Rowling actually ever done anything transphobic? Has Jesse Singal ever said a transphobic anything? If anything, Jesse Singal is one of the people trying to report on this issue and bring attention to it. Why won't people listen to him?
You've thrown her under the bus for this, to me, is an absolute disgrace.
Death threats, rape threats, and yet they're not supporting her.
What do you think trans people get just by virtue of existing or trying to have online personas? Because, yeah, I've seen it. It's horrifying. They're not even famous. We're not talking massive accounts or stuff like that who are doing activism. We're just talking trans person exists on the internet. What's that like? Rape threats, death threats, all that shit. Yeah, they don't even have to be famous. They don't have to be JK Rowling or fucking Graham Linehan.
And saying, oh, this is terrible. She has made their entire lives, their careers.
You know, at no point has she done anything that is exclusionary. The only thing she has ever done is
well, I mean, the whole, like, you're not actually women, that feels exclusionary, doesn't it? Doesn't it? I mean, to me it does, you know? Like, if someone was telling me, Lance, you're not a man, I'm like, but I am a man. It's like, yeah, but you're not allowed to be in men's spaces. Why? Oh, you're not a real man. Yeah, you're a fake man. Yeah, that's sorry, just the way it is. Oh, but I'm not a bigot. No, I'm just trying to protect men's spaces, right?
Is make a clear line, a distinction between a trans woman and a woman. And I think that is perfectly acceptable. I don't think that is transphobic. And I find this whole thing abhorrent. I can't believe we've...
You started the segment by making a whole bunch of transphobic jokes. One guy was like, hey, you won't stop drawing penises, which might be a little kind of a bit of a self-report there. But anyways, he's like, you won't stop drawing penises. And the other guy's like, yeah, and now you want to chop them off. And then the rest of the people are like, I don't know if we can joke at that. That seems kind of cruel. But anyways, that's how we're going to start this topic. I see no transphobia. I've never seen her say anything remotely transphobic. Well, can someone please point to one single example, one example of her being transphobic in any way, shape, or form? They can't. It's impossible. No, it's like wizardry, some might say.
got this far, and people are still saying that JK Rowling is transphobic.
Well, I mean, on the weekend, Adam, look, we're all comics, we're all mates on Facebook as well, and you see these comments, and you see people going, oh my God, this is disgusting, and there were people talking about this article, people I know, people we've worked with, and they're coming out how disgusting she is, and I just said, please.
At this point, I don't find Glinner disgusting. That's just known. It's just like fucking pathetic, honestly. At this point, and then to continuously claim that the reason now that you're having so much trouble finding work or doing stand-up and all this is because like your obsession with like strangers' genitals. Yeah, that's weird. That's weird. I mean, that's utterly bizarre. If someone was honestly genuinely obsessed with genitals 24/7, I wouldn't want to hang out with them. I wouldn't want to be their friend. I wouldn't want to be in a club and listen to their stand-up. If they're just like, oh, that's why all these children need to have their penises back and all that. Why are you talking about kids' penises? What is happening right now? You know?
Again, as alluding to what you say, just quote me one direct quote from JK Rowling that is transphobic. And they can never do it. I know this is somewhat new to you. Welcome to Headliners.
I've got one opinion on this.
Okay, let's hear it.
Oh, delicious. Absolutely.
God,
delicious.
I've got water in my glass now.
Before we go ahead off on this...
I need some help here. Is this a British thing? Is this a right-wing thing? Like washing your glasses in the water. I just don't get it. Yeah. He took his glasses off and then he spun them in the water and put them on, and then everyone was like, whoa, shit, he went there! He went there! Oh my god!
Paul.
British people, I know there's a few of you watching. Come on, I adore my lefty British fans. What is happening here? I don't get that one.
Is this
British person here? Absolutely no fucking idea. Oh, okay. Oh, shit stirrer, is that it? Is he referencing shit stirrer? Is that the thing?
Coming from them? Is this coming from their publicists? This is what we've seen time and time again. Certain people have poked their head up on the gender debate, Bette Midler and various people, and then like a day later, it's like they'll put out this apology and whatnot. And is it just cowardice? You could excuse them that they're young, they want to continue their careers. Is there some...
Okay,
can we
it is cowardice, but it's shrewd cowardice. And the distinction you made is an intelligent one, because, their publicists, their agents are protecting the future of those actors.
Oh, none of these guys are Glinner. Graham Linehan is the individual you saw in the news article I had before. He's not... maybe he's in the article here. Just so everyone knows, yes, this is Graham Linehan. And, yeah. I mean, I'm guilty of loving The It Crowd, the original British show when it was out. I used to find it funny. But like, yeah, I've known Graham Linehan more recently. I mean, he was pretty much destroyed in the spotlight thanks to H Bomber Guy and his massive campaign against Graham and fundraiser that was very successful for Mermaids, and calling Graham Linehan a piss man. He is a piss man.
Because they know, in this current climate of absolute bonkers land, that if they were to come out and say, no, actually, I'm very thankful to JK Rowling and she's entitled to her views, they would be penalised.
Well, I would... The final point on this is...
Here's the final point. I'll let you all see it if you haven't, because it's a great introduction to Graham Linehan.
Hey, remember the time I said this?
I never actually beat Donkey Kong 64 as a kid, so to finally put this little fucker to rest, I'm gonna stream it.
Well, it's finally time. I've got all my affairs in order, I've recovered from getting super sick repeatedly, and I figured out why my internet would periodically melt down every few hours. It's time for the Donkey Kong 64 Nightmare Stream. DK64 is a game I never finished properly as a kid. I played the game for this long and couldn't beat it, and since then, I've held a grudge. It beat me. But now, at long last, it's time for the rematch. At 8:30 PM UK time on January the 18th, I'll be streaming this game start to finish. All the proceeds from this stream will go to Mermaids, a charity which works to provide resources and support to young people with gender dysphoria. I chose to support this charity because, as a person living in Britain, I find the media discussion surrounding this issue in my country, especially in its tabloids, to be woefully misinformed. And I'd like to do my bit to help support the people who do the hard work of contributing to people's thinking on an important issue. I chose Mermaids in specific because when they were designated some funding by the National Lottery, Graham Linehan, a comedy writer who did some work on a good show, 20 years ago, who happens to be very normal man who's just very angry about trans people all day nowadays, went on Mumsnet and told them to email a lady from the National Lottery en masse, and now the funding is under review. So well done, Graham. You have a massive audience and the power to choose to fight for progress in all the many forms we need in the world right now, and you used it to make sure some children won't have access to helpful resources. Well, not really. They're probably still going to get the funding once the National Lottery realizes the outreach they received was a celebrity deliberately telling Mumsnetters to email poor Dawn thousands of fake copy-pasted sock puppet emails of quote-unquote concern. And on top of that, now tons more people know about mermaids and want to support them just to spite you. Good job raising awareness for a charity, genius. Please talk loudly and angrily about more people who need support. You fucking trash man. You piss boy.
Oh, I apologize. It was Piss Boy. Yeah, so he's Piss Boy. There you go. And then, yeah, I'm sure you all remember in history, this was such an epic fucking moment in, you know, online fundraising that it just fucking not only fundraised a fuck ton of money, had tons of like celebrities drop in, just became this entire sensation, raised the profile of mermaids, made mermaids a whole fuck ton of money. But we're guessing Graham probably pissed himself being Piss Boy and everything. So there's that.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form, available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This show is produced by amazing people like you, and if you want to help us out, please consider donating over at patreon.com/theserfs. The show is made possible thanks to Amazing Fletch, Anna Loves Riley, Ariane McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Doug Cady, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Laminia Panza, Matthew Scarborough, Multimondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Pappy, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby K, Sir Nickus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian Demo, Tech Tink, Trevbot EXE, Words Greenwood, and not to mention all of the amazing and fabulous people you now see before you.